segregation between men and women. Cold hard facts, there's no arguing against it. Feminism isn't about getting ahead of men, it's about getting to the same level. Sadly, both genders are having setbacks in reaching their goal. A lot has to do with the fact that some people don't understand what it truly means to be a feminist. Take it from Emma Watson's he for she UN speech, the definition of feminism is the belief that men and women should have equal rights and opportunities. It is the theory of the political, economic, and social equality of the sexes. I don't know the struggle of a man. It's foreign territory. I believe in equal rights for both men and women. However, I relate to and know the struggles of sexism towards women a lot more than I do of men. Please keep that in mind throughout this video. This is supposed to evoke change, new perspectives and unity, not violence, degradation, and division. Let's hear what everyone, agreeing and opposing sides, have to say in order to make informed and progressive steps forward to a better world. Because in the end, we're all trying to figure it out. Let's help each other to do that.
I'm not talking about the word fuck.
I'm not talking about the word faggot.
I'm talking about the word feminism.
Feminism, feminism,
Feminism.
Think about the reaction that you just had to the word. For some, it's empowering, but for others, this uneasy feeling takes over. Feminism. It's like poison on the tongue.
I don't believe in women over men. It's too strong of a word.
I like being taken care of by my man.
I'm not a feminist, I'm a humanist.
I don't like the label.
I'm not an extremist. I don't hate men.
Well, there is no wrong reason, and everyone is entitled to their own opinion. I would like to shed some light on some of the reasons I think feminism is still needed.
Humanism is a great way to look at equality for all, but it takes away the history and fight behind the feminist movement.
It's like trying to find a new term for the civil rights movement and the fight against racism. It takes away the struggle, the reason we fight so hard for equality.
My ancestors did not protest because they thought they were superior to men. They protested because they were tired of being treated like property, because they knew they were equal and should be given equal opportunities.
My ancestors did not get thrown into jail and risk their lives for the women of today to man-hate out of ignorance and call it feminism.
They put everything on the line because they wanted their voices heard, not to be defined by men, and to pursue their passions and careers only thought worthy by men.
The women who protested from 1848 to 1920 did so because they believed in equality, and they believed that they mattered.
The fight for equality, however, goes farther back than the 19th century. For most of history, there has been a power struggle between men and women. One example of history is religion, specifically religious texts.
There are those who believe that religious texts are a type of history book, and then there are those who choose to interpret differently.
Everyone can agree, though, that ancient texts used in religions represent cultural norms during a certain periods of time.
The Bible of the Christian religion is both critically acclaimed and critically shamed due to different opinions on it. While it has brought hope and salvation, the Bible has some very sexist views, particularly towards women.
Did you know only 1/10 of the Bible talks about women in their lives?
1/10 of a text that mainly writes about patriarchal society and oppressing women.
The Bible was written in a time where women were read to men as political decisions and could be publicly stoned to death for sexual immorality.
A woman's sexuality, and more importantly, her manner of purity, could end her life, her social status, and her chances of marriage, all by the words and accusations of a man. Drawing any parallels to today's society?
Why do you think guys who sleep around are called players, and girls who sleep around are called sluts?
These lifestyles written about in ancient religious texts, which were so prevalent in past societies, are projected into the world today whether we realize it or not.
For those who say history's in the past, it's not. The view of women in the past is still a prevalent fight many are struggling with.
Now, don't get me wrong, there are great lessons to be learned from the Bible.
People find comfort and wisdom in it. It teaches great lessons and morals about life.
There are passages such as Proverbs 31 that speaks about the ideal woman and her morals and values.
In no way is this an argument stating that the Bible is wrong or right, good or bad, or something we need to think about discarding.
What the point is, however, is that some teachings of ancient religious texts are contributing to gender inequality all around the world.
It's sad that in any nation we cannot say there is gender equality.
The United States is looked at as this great country, yet there is still ignorance and discrimination occurring.
In a survey conducted at Cardinal Stretch University, 5 classes totaling 67 students were asked their gender, year in school, whether or not they identified as a feminist, and why.
Out of the 44 women surveyed, 33 women identify as feminists. 8 did not. And 3 said they were not sure.
Out of the 23 men who were surveyed, 17 men identified as not being a feminist, while only 6 did.
What was interesting was reading their reasons.
For men and women who didn't believe they were feminists, many wrote that they still believed in equal rights, but that they were either not extreme enough, an active component, interested enough to fight for it, or believe that the fight for equality has already been taken care of.
In Africa, there are still wars going on that forces young boys to become children's soldiers and to gun down men, women, and children.
In China, baby girls are left out on the streets because the family name must be carried on by a male child.
In Middle Eastern countries, a woman puts her life at risk to get an education and must cover her body up in fear of man raping her because her flesh is too provoking.
In Pakistan, citizens live in fear of acid attacks, where acid is thrown onto a victim, burning their bodies and faces. Women are usually targeted more than men, though both have been victims to these attacks.
Do not try to tell me that we have bigger things to worry about.
Do not try to tell me that feminism is different than racism or any other social matter.
Do not try and tell me that it's not that big of a deal. That I'm overreacting. That how dare I think feminism is more important than the lives lost due to hate of different race, sexual orientation, or the mentally ill.
How dare I? How dare you forget how much both men and women have suffered at the hands of each other?
How many lives have been taken because of hate, ignorance, and discrimination of any kind?
How many girls and women are abused and killed for standing up to a man and saying no?
Slavery, by far, is one of the biggest examples of inequality on all levels. Because of a person's nationality, others thought, and still think, that they could own another human life. That they were less human, less deserving of respect.
Both men and women were beaten, sexually assaulted, murdered, and mutilated during times of slavery at different points in history.
Egypt was built on the backs of Jewish slaves working as laborers until they worked themselves to death. Their bodies whipped and beaten for years, their best never being good enough.
Countless African women were raped on the ships bringing them to America, and furthermore raped by their masters and forced to have his children that he wouldn't even recognize as his own.
Feminism isn't any less important than discrimination against skin color, love, or mindset.
It's a step further into the problems we have been and are still facing in society. And you know what the worst part of this is? There's still slavery in today's world. Sex slavery, human trafficking.
Between 21 million and 30 million men, women, and children are enslaved today. That means there are more slaves now than during all the years of the entire transatlantic slave trade combined.
13 is the average age children begin to be trafficked for sex.
It's happening in cities near us, not just countries around us.
Taken from unlucky13.org, 92% of youth trafficked in Milwaukee are female. Most contract STDs that can damage their reproductive systems, making human sex trafficking a problem that produces generations of victims. 79% of human trafficking cases reported in Wisconsin occur in the city of Milwaukee.
The fact that slavery is still occurring in the 21st century should be enough to make your stomach wrench.
There are people being sold into sex slavery, forced to have sex with multiple partners a day, all while being told that they're worthless and that no one wants them.
We are told that we are intelligent beings, so how can we let something like this go on in our world, let alone in our country, and still be able to sleep at night?
There are those who choose not to care because they don't like to think about it, or it's inconvenient for them to try to help those in need.
There are those who blame culture standards for the way people are being treated. That we can't do anything to help because that's the way it is.
We could have been easily born into a different situation. where we could be chained to a bed, doped up on drugs, cries stifled as we were raped over and over again.
Slavery is alive and well in the world, and so many are so ignorant to the fact and refuse to open their eyes.
Your mother, your sister, your best friend, you, me. I could have been born into a different life where I was kidnapped, tricked, or taught there was no other way but sex slavery. It should not matter where we were born. Every man, woman, and child should have an equal chance at freedom.
And while we're on the subject, sexual assault is still one of the top crimes all around the world.
Rape, sexual assault, sexual violence, they're all still a problem because of lack of respect for others.
1 in 5 women and 1 in 71 men are raped in their lifetime in the United States, adding up to being more than 23.6 million survivors.
In most cases, the offender is someone that the victim knows, whether it be a family member, a friend, or an acquaintance.
While this is a problem for both genders, women are more often sexually assaulted than men, or so reported. This is one of the biggest reasons I consider myself a feminist. I should not have to wander the streets at night, eyeing the bushes and trees, wondering if a man is going to jump out and rape me.
I shouldn't have to yell at guys to not slap my butt as I walk past them in a bar.
As a woman, I should not have to be taught to never leave my drink alone, or not accept a drink that I didn't see made.
Instead, we should be teaching boys at a young age that when a girl says no, she really means no. None of that no means yes bullshit, even as a joke.
We should be teaching boys that drugging a girl's drink is wrong and that it's not an easy way to get laid.
We should be teaching men to respect women and their decisions.
I'm not grouping all men into this category. I know that there are some men that would never dream of hurting anyone.
But the fact that sexual assault rates is so high shows that there is still a problem in how some people view themselves and what they're entitled to.
It shows that there are still men out there that have a sexist view of women and feel they are superior enough to take what they want, when they want. Not all men, but enough of them. Too many of them.
They should not feel that they are entitled to women sexually, and no one should have to walk around feeling like they're a piece of meat.
Now, you may argue that this is considered man-hating.
Stop blaming men.
Not every man is like this.
It's not all their fault.
But where are the people calling out men who are women-hating? Why have we never heard that phrase before?
It's because it's already a part of our society, ingrained in our brains as a normal thing to think about.
I heard a 19-year-old college male say the words, "I'm gonna get this bitch to be my booty call." And you know what? Not one person reprimanded him for saying it. Not one person, except for myself, showed disgust and contempt for what he had said.
In fact, people continued on the conversation, laughing and smiling at what he had said.
Where are the people to tell him that it's wrong and unfair to talk about women that way?
Where are they?
Because I don't even see them. I see more people make sexist jokes and think it's okay because they're just joking.
Do you see us laughing? I didn't think so.
Why do people continue to make sexist jokes and think it's okay?
When people make jokes about sexism, they're saying that they don't see it as a serious subject, which opens the door and makes it okay for others to do so as well.
Often when people make jokes about anything mentally challenged, gay, or race-related, they are automatically chewed out.
Why are the jokes non-stop about gender stereotypes?
Men, you want me to make you a sandwich? That implies that you have authority over me, that you are above completing such simple tasks reserved for women. You want a sandwich? Make it yourself.
Yet, similarly, woman, do you want a man who treats you right, opens up to you, and not just use you for your body? How about you give him a chance to do that, instead of holding him up to the stereotypes of being masculine and macho all the time, and just let him be himself?
We stereotype both genders so harshly, which is one of the main causes of gender inequality.
Men who dance?
They must be gay. Even though dancing, such as ballet, has been proven to help male athletes with their coordination, balance, and flexibility.
That girl hasn't had a boyfriend yet?
Why? What's wrong with her? Is she a lesbian? Even though society also says that if I don't find a guy I want to date, then I shouldn't date anyone. It's a waste of time. Just like you questioning my sexual orientation just because I hadn't been in a committed relationship by 18.
Do you see how doubled standards and unrealistic expectations are ruining our society?
It is worse for a man to be deemed feminine than for a woman to be deemed masculine. Why is that? Femininity isn't an insult because being female isn't a bad thing.
The most common stereotype for males is that they have to be masculine. And if they show any signs of vulnerability or emotion, they're considered a pussy, pansy, or gay.
The most common stereotype for females is that if she decides to sleep around, she's considered a slut, skank, whore, etc. If not, she's uptight, prude, or a killjoy.
First of all, it's none of your business who someone sleeps with or not. Second of all, one aspect of a person's life shouldn't define him or her as a person.
Do I personally support having multiple sexual partners? Not particularly. But who am I to tell anyone, female or male, how to live their lives? And who is society to tell them that as well?
We need to stop bashing each other.
We need to stop fueling the gender stereotypes with the jokes, the mean names, and the unfair expectations.
We need to stop bullying one another because they don't fit our standards of perfect.
If that boy wants to cry, let him cry. It's a biological response to being happy or sad. Or if he doesn't, then let him be. It's his life, not anyone else's.
If a girl wants to be in a relationship or not, and have sexual intercourse, don't worry about it. Or if a girl wants to focus on her career and not focus on finding love, then that's 100% okay too. Why would you shame someone for being motivated and wanting to make a name for oneself?
We need to stop being so focused in what other people are doing, so into other people's lives, and being so judgmental, and to start focusing on bettering ourselves.
Become educated. Worry more about what's going on in the world other than celebrities breaking up in what they're wearing.
Support public figures who are bettering the world and not rapping about sex, drugs, alcohol, and violence, or making a fool out of themselves for publicity.
Everything that you do has a chain reaction that will impact the future.
Grow yourself as a person and you won't have time to be worried about what other people are doing in their free and private time.
Love yourself first, and then you won't end up trying to find that love in the wrong places.
We need to respect one another, men and women, because without respect, we have nothing.
We will never move forward as a population if we can't love one another wholly and be kind to each other.
There's something missing in this world, and it's eating away at us. We cannot survive without each other, men and women. We're created to be with each other.
We need to come together and work towards a common goal of equality. So, don't just exit out of this video after you watch it and forget about it.
Don't see something you know is wrong and not say anything. If you want something to change, do something about it.
The millennial generation is by far one of the most connected societies in human existence. We have so much potential to do good in our world, yet we somehow lack motivation.
If we can't have instant gratification, we don't want it. If it's hard, we want to find an easy solution, out of sight, out of mind.
Gender equality is being made a lot tougher to achieve by those who choose to stay ignorant.
If people actually tried, and I mean really tried, to change the way people perceive one another and gender stereotypes.
If we really accepted the fact that everyone is struggling and trying to figure out life like we are, and we tried to help each other.
If we hold people accountable for their words and actions and make them think twice before they speak or act.
If we all just stop being jerks to one another,
Great things would happen.
If you believe that feminism has strayed away from its initial core values, I challenge you to be a positive example of a feminist and show what true feminism can do.
If you don't like how it has come to be perceived, then help start the fourth wave of feminism. And don't give up on a movement that has brought so much good into this world.
Be an advocate for what's right.